So I thought it'd be interesting to talk a bit about the future of Assassin's Creed, and by this I mean Assassin's Creed Next Gen, as well as the future of the development of the games, because to be honest with you, it's really murky about who's going to be actually making Assassin's Creed Next Gen. So if you want to skip over all that and just go right to what I think is going to be in Next Gen, then I'll throw up some timestamps now for when that's going to be. So without further ado, let's get into it. So as of 2020, we've got a game between now and AC Next Gen, that being Ragnarok. And if you've clicked on this video thinking this is about Ragnarok, I'm sorry about that, although I do have plenty of content, including a video on all the leaks about that game and plenty more if you guys want to check that. That really wasn't subtle, or was it? That was pretty bad. But if you want to check out some Ragnarok content, I've got it, plenty of it, too much of it, check it out. So anyway, Assassin's Creed Next Gen. Basically, the reason that this isn't going to be Ragnarok is that that's a game that's been developed by Montreal 3 for 3 years by the end of this year, which simply isn't enough time for a game like this. When Unity and Origins sort of revamped the series, that took 4 years, and this is easily going to need that same amount of time, if not more, to make a new game from the ground up from new hardware, especially when you consider games take longer and longer to make each gen. And the thing is, I really have no clue who's actually making this game. Of course it's going to be someone within Ubisoft, but I mean the actual team making this game. So anyway, it's probably best for the sake of this video if I explain the Ubisoft studios and how they work and who makes each game, otherwise this is just going to make no sense. Okay, so I'm sure you all know Ubisoft uses a lot, and I really do mean a lot of studios. They have 26 in fact, and so that AC can be released on a regular basis, they split these studios up. They'll have one studio in charge, with smaller studios like Singapore and Bucharest helping them. Ubisoft Montreal are the guys who made AC1 through Brotherhood, but to maintain annual releases they split Montreal up. Montreal 1 made Unity, Montreal 2 made AC3, and Montreal 3 made Revelations. As far as I know, Montreal 1 and 2 have just dispersed into other Ubisoft studios and haven't done anything since their respective games. But Montreal 3 stayed on, making both Black Flag and Origins. And to keep the games releasing regularly, Ubisoft Quebec, a studio who had helped make Assassin's Creed games in the past under the direction of the other studios, were now given their own free reign, making both Syndicate and Odyssey, in charge of both of those projects. So basically, we've been flip-flopping from Montreal 3 in Quebec for 5 years now, and this is where the issue comes in. Montreal can split into multiple teams because they're a studio of over 3,500, when Quebec is about 500. I'm assuming the Montreal 3 team is about that same size, with the added help of the other studios. My point here is that Quebec can't split into multiple teams like Montreal could, and I don't think they've been making Assassin's Creed for Next Gen. For one, as I've said before, this is a 4-year job at least, and after Odyssey that'll be only 3 years they've had to make this game. Secondly, they've been busy with Gods and Monsters, and presumably still are. They've helped with other games in the past, but this is one they're leading with a 2020 release date. So if they start developing the next AC after this is out, it will be coming 2023 or 2024 at earliest, and I don't see us having a 3-year gap between games, especially at the start of a generation. This might be wishful thinking here, but I think there's a chance Quebec won't come back. There's a rumour about that Gods and Monsters is basically what they wanted to make of Odyssey before being restricted by the Assassin's Creed IP, and that makes sense given the game's complete uselessness as a part of the franchise, and I think it is better that Quebec can just make what they want to make rather than being chained down by a franchise, which just kind of hurts both their vision and the actual franchise, and nobody wins really. So if Ubisoft has let Quebec go, we could potentially see Ubisoft expand, so there's 2 or 3 teams on AC. As well, this would mean some consistency with having a shared staff there, such as Darby McDevitt as the narrative director across all of Ubisoft Montreal. I'd like that to happen a lot, and it'd be a great solution to this problem, because otherwise I'm at a complete loss here. It's also kind of exciting though, because even if they tried to rebuild Montreal 1 and 2, they don't have Corey May and Alex Amancio anymore. And that's not a slight at those guys, because I really like those guys and what they tried to do and did for the franchise. It's exciting in a sense that there's a good chance this game is going to be made by a completely new Ubisoft team, and as much as I love Montreal, it'd be great to see what a new team would do with the series, instead of going back from Quebec and Montreal 3, who everyone sort of built up their own image of at this point, and everyone knows what to expect from both of those guys, at least to some degree. Anyway though, I know the inner workings of Ubisoft might be a bit boring, but it was something I was thinking about, and it's why I made this video, because the fact that we don't know who's making this game, and it could be someone completely new, could breathe some new life into a series that, as much as I love it, it feels like it has a bit of a formula at this point. So a next-gen game that's set to revitalise the series made by some new people is really exciting. Anyway though, that's probably enough talk about that. That's probably bored all you guys. So anyway, onto the game itself. The only time that we've actually seen an Assassin's Creed game jump from one gen to another is with the jump from Black Flag to Unity. Even though Black Flag was on current gen systems, it wasn't made for them as Unity was, and Unity was a massive jump. If we put the bugs to one side and look at the game objectively, you can see Alex Amancio and his team had a huge vision, and seeing the features in this game before its release was crazy because it was such a huge progression in the series. Seeing all these new things, seeing the co-op, the combat, the free running, the look of this game was just insane. And I think it's safe to say Ubisoft are going to want to progress the series again and make a game truly fitting of the next gen. Just like how Unity was a giant jump from Black Flag, I'd expect the next gen to be a huge jump from Ragnarok. I did a video on what I expect of Ragnarok before. If you haven't seen it, basically I expect the game to run using a similar engine to Odyssey and Origins, but just with more upgrades like the jump from Assassin's Creed 2 to Brotherhood, say. And I fully expect Ragnarok to still be an RPG. And I think there's a big chance that the next gen game won't be an RPG. If you look at Origins, it's a game that took inspiration from other games that were big during its development, games like The Witcher 3 and to a lesser extent Dark Souls and Shadow of Mordor. And the games that this is going to take inspiration from are going to be different now that time's progressed. There's always been a market for more linear single player games, but I feel like there's been a big resurgence of them in the last few years. So we might see something more inspired by, say, God of War or Red Dead Redemption 2. And if you look at the gaming landscape now, RPGs are still huge, but if you look at the huge hype around a game like The Last of Us 2, it proves there's still a huge market for linear, more narrative games, ones that Ubisoft moved away from in favour of industry trends, instead of what is always a reliable constant that's proved itself to be even more reliable as of late. So what I'm trying to say is I think there's a good chance this game is going to be more of a linear Assassin's Creed experience that harkens back to the older titles in the series. And I think after 3 RPG games, that'd be nice. I say this as someone who loved Origins, but I prefer the more linear experiences for the franchise, and this could definitely be a return of that. In terms of the game's setting, I have no clue. I wouldn't expect a sequel to Ragnarok just yet until we know Ubisoft is a little more coordinated, and even then, it's really up in the air with Ubisoft being as they are. Because depending on what they do, or if Quebec does or doesn't come back, we could get character sequels, which would be great, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that one. This is still all hypothetical. I do think we could still get Ancient Rome though. The reason people thought that was because it was from a leak back in 2016, which predicted the settings of both Origins and Odyssey, and it said we'd get a game set in Rome. And a game of this proportion that could possibly even take 5 years to develop would probably be in conception around that time. It could still be scrapped though, so that's another thing that's up in the air. No matter what it is though, I'm expecting the first AC setting on next gen to be something ambitious, but at the same time it has to be something agreeable because the fanbase is so split right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if we did get feudal Japan or a setting like that, because it's been something that's been asked for so much, and I think Ubisoft really need to get fans back, especially right now. So why not have this setting that everyone agrees on and most people have wanted for years, showing us what Assassin's Creed can do on the next gen. They really need to step off on the right foot this time, because after Unity, the Assassin's Creed brand has never fully recovered, and this is the chance to fully blow that away with something just spectacular. Of course, there's the obvious stuff too related to the hardware. People have said next-gen systems won't have loading screens, which I'll have to see to believe. Of course, the graphics are going to be better too. I'm interested by just how much, purely because of how close we've gotten to lifelike graphics. I do hope it means better facial animations though, as that has been a problem with Ubisoft for years now. So yeah, I was just thinking about this weird position Ubisoft are in with the development of Assassin's Creed Next Gen, and I figured I could double it up with a video on what we can expect of AC Next Gen. So anyway, if you guys have any idea on who could be making this game, or what AC Next Gen would look like, or what you want from it, I'd love to hear it, and I'll be sure to respond to your comments. If you did enjoy this video, maybe leave a like. If not, maybe let me know why. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.